Ritik, shall we start?
Sure.
Okay. Distinguished panelists and dear participants, very good afternoon and good evening. Welcome to the joint webinar on Nepal Institute for International Cooperation and Engagement and Nepal Study Center for Hebei University of Economics and Business on new dimension of Nepal-China relations. Nepal Institute for International Cooperation and Engagement is an independent, apolitical and non-partisan think tank which believes in freedom, democracy and a world free from conflict. We envision a world where sources of insecurity are identified and understood, conflicts are prevented or resolved, and peace is advocated. Today we have eminent speakers to speak on these important issues. From China, we have Professor Chang Subin, Director of Nepal Study Center of Hebei University of Economics and Business, and Professor Fang Gyoping, Deputy Dean of International Education at Hebei University of Economics and Business. From Nepal, we have former Nepalese Ambassador to Beijing, Mr. Lilamani Podiar. Ladies and gentlemen, we plan to have a regular interaction with scholars, experts, and policymakers of India and China and dig out the issues of the past, mostly unresolved ones. For today's discussion, I do not think we can have better panelists than this to speak on this issue. Before we start, let's put some questions that will divert that will focus the whole discussions today. First is that what will be the changes in Nepal-China relations post-Chinese President Xi Jinping's visit to Nepal? Two, it is believed that President Xi Jinping has given more importance to South Asia. How important is Nepal in Xi's South Asia policy? Third, more than a decade ago, Asia Pacific Exchange and Cooperation Foundation proposed ambitious plan for Lumbini project. What has happened to it? Where did it disappear? Nepal signed MOU on BRI on 12th May 2017. I think the MOU was for only 3 years. Ambassador may correct me if I'm wrong. So if my understanding is correct, the MOU on BRI has been obsolete. What were the achievements of that MOU? Were we able to meet our expectations? 5. Similarly, in Nepal, to all Nepali, China means railway. Railway from Beijing to Kathmandu, railway from Beijing to Kathmandu to Lumbini to Pokhara. Nepalese are dreaming of this Chinese railway since more than a decade. I think I heard it in 2008 when I was a student of masters. India introduced railway project from Nepal much later, and the first phase is almost complete. What is the situation of Chinese railway project? How feasible it is? What will be the modality? Chinese will invest or Nepalese or both? If Nepal has to invest, can Nepalese economy sustain such a huge investment? Will there be no chances of what the world always calls death trap? 6. Is it difficult for China to fully fund the railway project? If China can develop a NIICE highway of more than 100 kilometers in 1963, when China was not an economic or military power, it had just recovered from the great Chinese famine, which has killed 15 million Chinese from 1959 to 1961. When China was entering into chaotic Chinese revolution, cultural revolution, China had just had war with India and Japan. If China could give that 100-kilometer road in 1960,
no, please accept Mr. Fang Gyoping.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So, sixth question is it difficult for China to fully fund the railway project? If China can develop a NIICE highway for which is of more than 100 kilometers in 1963, when China was not an economic or military power, it had just recovered from the great Chinese famine, where 15 million Chinese had died between 1959 to 1961. When China was entering into chaotic cultural revolution, it just had war with India and Japan. Why it is not possible for a world's economic giant or a military power to fully fund it? In 1963, trade between Nepal was almost zero. But now if we have railway, I think China will benefit from that through economic markets of India, North India and Nepalese markets. I think China will benefit from that railway. So why it is not possible? Seventh, how is China different from India on the border issues? In 2015, when Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited to China, Lipule was mentioned. China did not make a strong reaction to it in spite of strong protests from Nepal. There are also news of Chinese claiming certain parts of Everest. Does China and India, or we can say our two big neighbors, behave in similar manner when it comes to border? Last is, these days, China is also being covered in Nepalese media, and all for good and bad reasons. There are lots of news of criminal activities or even interfering of Chinese into Nepalese domestic affairs. It is just a new. I have no evidence to claim whether it's true or false. Neither I have claimed evidence for such rumors from Indian side. So I do not accept it as a fact. But what I want to say is that there are news, there are media reports that in the past it was India, but now even Chinese are making news of that nature, that they are involved in criminal activities, or you can say interfering in Nepalese politics. So here I'm going to, my question is that where is China Nepal relations heading to? Because in the past we used to say that China believe in what you call pro-establishment policy, where they look at the country through states, through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, or through the government. So these are the major questions which will focus our attention. I want all of you to, while making presentation, maybe try to address these, or I'm sure these questions will be asked again and again from the crowd. These are just some of the questions which came to my mind. So I would like to request our audience to drop the question in the chat box. We'll not allow our participants to speak because that creates sound delay. At the same time, there is overlap of voices, so we cannot have very good video. It can also create disturbance. So please drop your questions. You can write for everyone so that even the participants or even the speaker can look at the question and they can answer if we miss it out. At the same time, many of our friends are also watching live on Facebook. If you have any questions, please drop your questions at the comment box. You can tweet your questions. You can also send your questions through the WhatsApp that we have of our office. Please contact us on contact NIICE. Please tweet your questions. We'll try our best to make it reach to our speaker. I'll end it here. So maybe we can request first Professor Chang Shubin, then the ambassador, and then Mr. Fang to comment. So Professor Chang Shubin.
Is that okay now?
Yes, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, my good friends from Nepal. First, I'd like to express my sincere thanks to Dr. Pramod Jaswal to host such a very important, very meaningful video web seminar on China-Nepal new dimension. Okay. Is Mr. Fan is online now? Yes or no?
Probably yes.
Okay.
He's online.
As we know that China and Nepal, both of us have already entered new eras. Now, on China's part, we have entered the new era for building the socialism with Chinese characteristics. On Nepal's part, you also on a new historical period to achieve the goal of prosperous Nepal, happy Nepalis. Now, in the year 2019, President Xi Jinping and President Bandari successfully exchanged state visits. And during the President Bandari's visit, China visit, China and Nepal signed the protocol of the transportation. And also during the second BRI conference, China-Nepal Railway has been listed on the BRI projects. And the multi-connections between China and Nepal. Another phrase is the Trans-Himalayan multi-connections has been put on the top agendas. I think this has already put new impetus to the Nepal's development. Now, during the President Xi's Nepal visit, China and Nepal agreed to establish the strategic partnership of cooperation featuring everlasting friendship for development and prosperity. And during that visit to Nepal, a package of grant projects, if my memory is correct, maybe how much? 3,500 million 人民币元 to help Nepal in the development. Now, on the international level, China and Nepal always have been supporting each other on each other's territory sovereign. Now, on Nepal's side, Nepal always adhere to the One China policy. And on China's side, we always support Nepal to keep its territory intact. As to, just now Mr. Pramod said about the border disputes, I think in China's, opinion, we insist that all these differences, all these disputes about the issue should be negotiated through diplomatic channels according to the historical facts. Now, let the historical facts, to speak, not to make something very, popular on the media to make much noise there. Okay. Now, in China, there is a very old famous speaking by Confucius: "Never do anything you don't want to do on you to others." So that is also has been decided as the golden rule between dealing with the different countries' relations. As we know that China and India, as well as Myanmar, we approached the Panchashila, that is the 5 peaceful coexistence principles. But it is a pity that in the year 1962, there was a war between China and India on the border. Nowadays, the border issue is very, heated between Nepal and India. I support Nepal to negotiate with India on the Kalabani, Liplek, and Dula, okay, these areas, according to the historical facts. That is the first point I would like to say. China and Nepal actually entered a new area for the development. Now, the second point I would like to say is that to make the China-Nepal friendship further to a higher level or to a very much more deeper foundation, okay, I think that there should be more and more practical cooperations between China and Nepal. Last year, during the summer vacation, I paid a 1 month visit in Nepal to do the field research in all the 7 provinces. I found that, along the Mahandala Highway from the east to the west, okay, from the province 1 to province 7, I visited all the 7 provinces. I found that Nepal is almost the same as China in the late 1970s and early 1980s. That is to say, Nepal is standing at the starting point to rapid development. From Biratnagar to Dharam through Itahari, I think that is the widest highway in Nepal, maybe. Okay, maybe at least 6 lanes, and also from Janakpur to uh, Sinduli, right? Yeah, Sinduli, and then the PP Koilala Highway, a very good highway. Okay, and also the from Butwal to the north, from the Dangadi to Surkat and so on. Very good, very good highways. So when I was driving on the highways, I think now why aren't many Chinese companies, factories are working with the Nepal there? So when I was meeting with the chief ministers and the chairmen of the Communist Party of each province, I talked about the practical cooperation. Okay, China is good at building roads and railways and bridges and tunnels, and Nepal is in bad need, in great need for the 3 corridors from north to south. Okay, the Kanadi corridor, something like that, 3 corridors. Now I think on these practical cooperations, there are lots of things we can do. And the third point is that I think, last year when before President Xi's Nepal visit, Chinese Communist Party and the Nepal Communist Party, they set up a very good, a cooperation frame. That is the inter-party exchanges. But the problem is that on the provincial level, it is very weak. So in the future, the two ruling parties should deepen their exchanges on the provincial level and even the county level. When I was in the other, places in Nepal, they know, they don't know anything, almost anything about China's BRI, Chinese, President book and so on. Okay, that is the third point I would like to point out. Now, the number 4 is that when we are trying to deepen our cooperation, the role of the think tanks, just like Dr. Pramod Jaswal's NIICE, okay, and my Nepal Study Center here in China, and even the mass media, okay, they have a greater roles, in promoting the people to people's understanding. Several days ago, when I was reading the Rising Nepal, that is the page 3 of May the 31st daily. Okay. Now it is about Pokhara has received medical supplies worth $79,000 from Chinese cities. Now they listed 6 different cities of China, but at least 2 cities there, I don't know what they are. Now I asked my friend in the Chinese embassy, asked him to tell me what on earth are these 6 different cities. He told me he has no idea also. Okay, now that is a big problem. When we are exchanging between the think tanks and the seminars and medias, I think we should at least let the other part know what you are saying. When Ambassador Baudel was speaking in Tsinghua University, I remember that, when you talk about the history of Nepal, I think in that meeting room, except me, maybe nobody from the Chinese side, They know nothing about that. They cannot understand what you are saying. Now, when I was in Nepal, in Kathmandu to attend a seminar, there was a very, clever young man. He speaks very good Chinese. I asked him, do you know what is Kailash Mansarovar in Chinese language? He doesn't know. You know, in China, few people know Kailash Mansarovar, but in Nepal, in India, it is they are the secret places for the Hindu, right? For the Hindu, especially the interpreter for President Xi Jinping. When President Xi visited India in the year 2015, something like that. Okay, when he was delivering a speech in the World Affairs Council, he talked about China will open the neighbours pass for the Hindu pilgrims to go to Kailash Mansarovar. Okay, but the interpreter doesn't know the historical background. He just translated according to the words President Xi used. He translated like this. Okay, we welcome the Indian pilgrims to go to the sacred mountains and lakes in China's Tibet. He used the plural form of the mountain Kailash and Lake Mansarovar. I watched the live broadcast. I know it's very bad. It's very bad translation. Okay, so the audience, the English, the Indian friends, they don't know what he's speaking. Okay, and another translation is very not so good. President Xi said the development of India is incredible. The India travel administration, there's a slogan, incredible India. But, in Chinese translation, we say, cannot believe, okay? So the interpreter used such a word, unbelievable. The development of India is unbelievable. So the Indian friends are not pleased. Oh, you don't believe the development of India has achieved. So that is the misunderstanding between the translation. In translation, there will be a lot of things, missing or mistranslated. So, I had worked in Nepal for 3 years teaching Chinese language and promoting Chinese culture. When I was back in China, I think now, there is a great need for the Chinese people to understand the Nepal better. In China, so few people know Nepal. Where's Nepal? Okay, they don't know. So that is the big problem. So the think tanks, the media, we have to do a lot more to help the two peoples to understand each other better. And, try our best to make everything correct. If we don't know, take trouble to ask the Nepali friends and the Chinese friends what it is. Ambassador Baudel, even outside the walls of the embassy in Beijing, there are some promotion of the travel, the pictures. The Chinese translations are not so good, at least not so good. Strictly speaking, they are bad. They are wrong. Okay, so we have a lot to do. Okay, number 5 is that during now the COVID-19 pandemic, President Xi said we should build the common future for shared, human humanity about the healthcare. Okay. Now, when China was in the very serious period in the beginning of the pandemic. Nepali friends supported China very much. Okay, a lot of people they sing songs, they get together to light the candles to support China. But now Nepal is in a very bad situation now. Okay, according to the news report, if it is true, okay, China is helping Nepal a lot. Now, try our best to achieve effective cooperation to deal with the pandemic. Let's join hand in hand, try our best to make the China-Nepal friendship to a new high in a new era. That is what I would like to say. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Chang Subin. May I now request Ambassador Lilamani Podin to make his presentation?
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Pramod. First of all, I would like to thank CII CE for organizing this seminar and giving me the opportunity to share some of my views on the very important topic that new dimension of Nepal-China relation. Is that okay? Sound is clear?
Yes, sir. It's perfect.
Okay. I would like to welcome you all. We have joined this seminar, and then hope and wish that after this conference, we will have a better understanding about Nepal-China relations among us, and then we will be able to work together and further contribute for consolidating relationship for the betterment of the people of both the countries. Today, the topic says is the new dimension of Nepal-China relations. Forget about the past history, and it is based from that historical the events or the activities or the historical facts. The history is the basis upon which we can build up the new relations. The Nepal-China relations are time-tested, long and historic, has thousands of years of the history. The relationship between two countries goes back to centuries through the people-to-people exchange and cultural cooperations or cultural relations that started long back than the political relations that we established a diplomatic relation in 1955. During the period of 5th and 6th century, we can say that we have the best ever relationship between two sides, and until the 17th or 8th century, and by that time we've enjoyed the growth prosperity across the Himalayas. And again in the 13th and 12th and 13th century, the relationship further intensified. In the 17th century and also the further intensified. I would like to quote the Dor Bahadur Bista, noted the anthropologist of Nepal, late Dor Bahadur Bista, who has written that until the 17th century, the largest number of Nepalese outside Nepal were in the Tibet Autonomous Region of China, present Autonomous Region of China, and the largest numbers of foreigners that stayed in Nepal were the people from the PR. That was the magnitude of the relationship between two sides. And the last 200 years, the relationship remained a modest level. I should say the modest level, not only with Nepal, maybe with all the South Asian countries between China and South Asia, because that it was the period of the emerging of the Western powers. The relationship was centric towards West, not to the North and South, not among the Asian nations. That applies to China and India. That applies to other Southeast Asian nations in China. and that applies to China and East Asian countries. But looking back to the histories, and what we can say that it was a period of the Western countries' development beginning, and then the 21st century, we're talking about the Asian century, that the economies of Asian economies are emerging, rising, with the most vibrant economies, most vibrant populations, and the most young and dynamic populations, particularly in South Asia, and the robust economic growth until before that COVID-19 that occurred. This has given a new dimensions and a new kinds of the impetus in the relationship between two sides. The relationship between the North and East Asia. There is a noises, no? Is that okay? There is a kinds of the a new expectations and the new hope that arises in this region of the world, particularly in the Asian regions, and then more so in the North and East Asia to the South Asia and Southeast Asia. More interactions, more economic activities, and then more cooperations. These are the potentialities that we see. That's why the states and peoples are trying to reorganize their, redefine their relationship, and reassure their kinds of the opportunities, to ensure that opportunities that they can benefit from those opportunities. Under the circumstances, the diplomatic relationship, after the establishment of diplomatic relationship, there were transformative changes that taken place in Nepal, and also the profound changes that taken place in China in the last 65 years of the diplomatic relations. This year is the 65th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between Nepal and China. A lot of things have happened. I don't want to go details on that. Just I will take the reference point of the 2019 with some background information of 2016 and 17 when we signed the Belt and Road Initiatives Agreement with China. And then I'll try to see the prospects of the relationship in the new perspectives in new dimensions. Particularly when the President Xi Jinping visited in October 2019 to Nepal, the state visit, one of the most successful historic visit, and the earlier the President Vidya Devi Bhandari of Nepal's president visit, paid a state visit to China in the April 2019. These both the head of the states exchanges within the 8 months of gap has heralded a new era of cooperation. Not only the visit, the understanding reached during those periods, agreements signed during that period and before that period, and the prospects and opportunities that arises because of the political changes, socio-economic transformations in both the countries. These are the circumstances or preconditions that gives us ample opportunities to see the prospects of cooperation for improving the living conditions of the people across the Himalayas. During that President Xi Jinping's visit, we've signed several agreements, and we reached an understanding that we should elevate our relationship to the strategic cooperative partnership, featuring everlasting friendship for prosperity and development. Our whole focus of our cooperation would be on development and prosperity, not any other things. That is what the central message that the President Xi Jinping's visit has given. And the earlier that when the President Vidya Devi Bhandari visited China, signed several agreements. Apart from that, Mr. Chang Shubin also mentioned that we concluded the transit protocol. Nepal was a landlocked country, particularly dependent on a single country for the transit from the outside world, connecting outside world for its economic activities, particularly trade activities to India. But after that, signing this transit protocol with China, the new avenues has opened up for exploring the possibilities of utilizing the country for the third country transit as well. Although this transit cannot be the replacement of the Indian transit facilities that we have been receiving at present. We have been utilizing using this until these days, because the infrastructure, part of the infrastructures need to be upgraded, and then we have to use and calibrate the needs and we have to see the maybe that there might be some difficulties that we may face in the future. We have to see, and then by actually practicing it, I actually using practically using this route, and then what sort of the difficulties that we may face, how much it cost effective, how can make it more efficient and convenient and appropriate. These are the things that we have to see again, because it's a very primary stage, but it has opened up. It has opened up, and then it is an opportunity. And Dr. Pramod, you have raised a lot of questions, lot of issues that we have to cover up in today's discussions. Maybe all of the issues may not have a sufficient time to cover up all the issues in such a single sitting of conference, even if done through the internet. But I would like to flag on some of the points you mentioned about the railway project. Railway project, though I'm not technician, but what I heard from the experts and technicians, that it is possible and it is feasible also. Feasible in terms of that, if you talk about the financial rate of return, no any single highway, and the Professor Sang was talking about the highway from Viratnagar to Itari, or we are now expanding the east-west highway, the Mahindra highway, by from 2-lane to 4-lane. But these roads are also, if you talk about the financial rate of return, that is not feasible, because that big infrastructures in a country like Nepal cannot be assessed on the basis of the physical financial rate of return alone. But if you talk about the strategic importance, particularly for the international cooperation, not very other regions, strategic means it is for the development cooperation, particularly international transit facility that we have been getting from China as well. We've signed the transit protocol. To fully operationalize the transit facilities, we must have railway line. Without railway line, without railway facilities, we cannot fully utilize it, because it is a long way. It is not a short route. It is not a 100 or few hundred kilometers. It is several thousand kilometers long. That's why to fully utilize, make it efficient and the convenient and the economically feasible, there must be modern logistic facilities across the transit way corridor. That is the railway line. Without railway facilities, we cannot. That's why railway is a lifeline for international connectivity. And then talking about its rate of return, there will be, if we talk about the economic rate of return, there definitely would be the feasible project would be feasible. Its economic benefits are enormous. Even if you talk about the tourism, the Trans-Himalayan Railway would itself be the world's one of the most attractive tourism product. The people would love once in their lifetime to cross Himalayas by railways. That's why it will be a dream project for the tourism. If tourism itself will sustain at least this railway project, I'm confident. This is my based on my experience of working with the public and private, traveling across the world. And then I can definitely say that the project is feasible. We must do it. And then why it is being a little bit delayed, as Pramod was mentioning, that the railway connectivity from India side is faster. The topography, you see that. And then the investment that we have made, the commitment we have made, and the investment we have made, that is the reason for the railway connectivity to China. And if you see the Nepalese perspectives also, from the Nepalese part also, no, still we don't have even that the project office particularly for this project. And then if you talk about the fully funded project and then compare with Araniko Highway, I'm not against the fully funding of it. And then if you say that whole grant project, it means that you don't have priority. If Nepal has a priority, and then Nepal should be ready to contribute its part. Not necessarily that whole funding is possible from Nepalese treasury at this moment, but the whatever possible, if Nepal can fund the 10%, if Nepal can fund 15% or 20% of the project cost, Nepal should ready to show its willingness. If it is a priority project, Nepal must allocate it. This is not a very, very big project. It's about the Budi Gandaki hydropower project. The cost of Budi Gandaki hydropower project and the railway project from Kerung to Kathmandu is more or less same. That's why it is not undoable. It's not. It is doable project. It is feasible. It is doable. It is necessary. It is necessary for the international connectivity. It is necessary for transit. Landlocked countries can connect with the outside world through only two means, that is by air connectivity or through by railway connectivity. The bus service or car service is not for the long transit haul. It is for a few hundred kilometers. That's why if you want to connect with the outside world, you have the only choices to connect by either railways or by the air connectivity. By air connectivity, there's a limitation. It cannot connect the different places. It can connect, it is a point-to-point connection only. It is not a through connection. And then second, it can connect, it is very expensive. And it cannot handle the bulk cargoes sometimes. That's why it is not for the mass level communications and connectivity. That's why if we want to connect a landlocked country to the outside world, there is no alternative of railway. And that's why it is the most important project for Nepal. We must do it. We must take it as a priority project. We must allocate our resources and human resources and financial resources. We must show our commitment. We should not be divided. Nepalese people, some political parties, some leaders are divided, and then they were talking about road and road. Road is not an alternative of railway. Railway is not alternative of roadways. Railway is for different purposes. It's for long haul transit and trade facilities. It's for the international connectivities, global connectivities. And then bus or the other highways are for just the border connectivities. Through bus, you cannot imagine of connecting Russia or going to the Seoul or the Hanoi. But by through railway, you can talk on that, because these days China and Europe has the several thousand railways every year moving from China to Europe and Europe to China. If we connect with China, Chinese railway, we can reach to Europe and then we can connect with the Europe. That's why railway is not a project like that you can compare with any other projects. It is the national priority, must allocate some resources, do on a time-bound basis, show our solidarity, should have the single voice, no undivided voice, because this is not a project like that connecting two cities. It's not like a project like that having a hydropower for the few 100,000 kilowatts of the electricity. It's a project of connecting Nepal to the outside world, to the Europe, to the East Asia, to the Central Asia, to the West Asia. That's why Nepal has no choice at all. It's a landlocked country. We must be connected by railways. This is on railway issue. And then you also talk about the BRI. And then if I don't see that there is any interruptions in our cooperations in the BRI framework. Nepal has a full commitment on the participation and then working together with BRI. And you talk about the benefits. See about before we signed the Belt and Road Initiatives project in 2017, and now our tourism before COVID-19, I'm talking about the COVID-19, the Nepal's tourism growth was 70%. Nepal's tourism growth was more than 70% before and after. Nepal's investment was more than 80% before and after. Nepal's development cooperation is more than 3 times before and after. Nepal's people-to-people cooperation, Nepal's political relations, the agreement we've signed, the exchanges we have made, institutional linkages we have made, the people's understanding reached. There are several benefits that we have been getting both the countries. The relationship is not like that before that and after that. If you compare that, that's why this has given a tremendous benefit. Don't talk about a list of few projects, infrastructure projects. The BRI is not only an infrastructure project, it is more than that. It is connecting people's mind also. It is connecting the people's aptitude, behaviors. There are a lot of things. And the infrastructure too, although not very in a fast pace, we are moving towards in the right direction. Then now the time has to give more impetus, give more emphasis, and then accomplish the project on time-bound basis, prioritize, and then prioritize among the priorities, because we have so many priorities, we may not be able to handle all the projects at a time. That's why we have to focus our priorities more so to complete the project on time and then derive benefit so that people's confidence can be boosted up. And the BRI has given a lot of benefits to us. There is no question that Nepal will interrupt on that continued cooperation with BRI. It's the government's commitment, if I understand correctly. It is just 2.5 months I left China. That's why that if I understand correctly, the government is continuously work on that. Belt and Road initiatives will go on. We don't have any problem. Regarding that the border issues, and the people sometimes try to drag on China on the border conflict these days is scaled up, intensified between Nepal and India. There is no any other countries in the world when two countries have the border disputes and third countries say that this border belongs to this land, belongs to this country, this land belongs to that country. No judge can any country just the judgment. That's why it is the bilateral issue that we need to resolve it between India and Nepal. This is the debate and issue between two countries. When we resolve that bilateral matters, China comes in. Definitely China must come in to find out the tri-junction between China, India, and Nepal. At that time, we have to seek the Chinese cooperation or the Chinese participation in border issue. Not now, not now. Now it is the issue between India and Nepal. We don't have problem with China. We are about border. Don't drag on. Don't try to create an artificial problem between China and India and China and Nepal. We don't have any border problems. Absolutely not. There is a one border pillar. That border pillar was not located when the joint border inspection team visited all border pillars from east to west in 1987 and the 1997 and 2005. When during that time they did not find out that border pillar, that's why they created a hypothetical line between the two the identified border pillars and then minuted the border protocol that both the countries will, when they find the pillar, they will delineate the border accordingly, something like that. They minuted, they agreed. And then when in 2005 they inspected again, they found it was inscribed in the natural stone. It was not a border pillar actually. And then it was in a very remote, very difficult topography above the snow line. And then there was no any vegetations, no people, no any nothing. And then but they found that the natural stone scribed the border pillar number, and then which was not actually they imagined without visiting that place. That need to sort it out, and they are under consultation to finalize the agreed minutes of the border inspection. This is not a border dispute. We have the border agreement, and then it is fully agreed, and then both sides have no any kinds of the issues until now. That's why we don't want to pull China in this stage on the border dispute. Regarding that the agreement signed between China and India about the uses of the Lipu Lake for their border trade, that is Nepal has a claim over that, and that agreement was several times China and India mentioned that point in their bilateral joint communique. And then when that came into a form of the MOU in 2014, and then Nepal immediately sent its note to both the countries that that area belongs to Nepal, and then signing agreement by two countries without consultation of Nepal would be unacceptable to Nepal. That when we wrote that a letter to China, China has put that agreement in status quo. China has not. That is what China need to do. If I were a Chinese authority, I should have advised my government in that way also. And then if China changes that status quo after Nepal's diplomatic note already sent to China, then only, then we can say that, oh, China is not supporting Nepal. But at this moment, then we cannot have anything to say China, and then ask China to speak on the border dispute between Nepal and India definitely would create a further problem. These days, some of the Indian scholars, even that Indian media are accusing Nepal that the Nepal is using China card, something like that, on that border issue. And then even if that the India is blaming on that, and then we want to pull them again and then create a further trouble and a problem. No, we should not do that. And this is not a time to pull the China in our border disputes between India and Nepal. And that issue, that agreement issue, if China until, and then we should not, we don't have anything to blame China until China keeps that agreement in the status quo on the date when we submitted our note, our reservation to the China. And then if, in my understanding, China has done nothing new development or the new initiatives, has not taken anything against the spirit of that Nepal's diplomatic note. That's why, that is what I understand about the Lipu Lake. I don't know about what is happening in last 2.5 months time, but I'm talking based on my own experience until that time. I don't want to talk about the Indian media's some allegations or some sort of the some hypes, created hypes on some of the issues and disputes, and then unless and until there is a government versions of India government or government versions of Chinese government, and then I don't want to react on those any matters. And then regarding that the prospects for the cooperations, post-COVID cooperations, during the coronavirus events also, no, we have a better understanding between two sides. This has brought in because of the exchanges of the people-to-people relations, because of the exchanges of the political, economic, and all-round cultural cooperations. There was a big earthquake in China, in Sichuan, Wenchang, in 2008. At that time, too, Nepal government supported, though in a very small way, supported for the victims of the earthquake of 2018, and China appreciated at that time too. I was in China immediate after that earthquake, and then we had supported the Chinese government. But at that time there was no candlelight in Kathmandu, because at that time we didn't have that level of people-to-people level relations. When that there was Chinese people suffered in Wuhan by the coronavirus, and then Nepalese people light a lamp, have a peace rally to show the solidarity to Chinese people. This is how that relationship has built up now, and then this is the prospects of the future cooperation that gives that the ample example of how that our deep-rooted relations are going on. And the another thing that I would like to highlight on that after COVID, post-COVID cooperation, when the coronavirus infected China the most, and some of the media and some of the countries were smearing China, criticizing China for their action on that stern action, the very strong action they've taken to combat coronavirus, to stop the spread of coronavirus infection. And the Nepal was together with China. The embassy organized several programs, and they showed their solidarity with the Chinese people and Chinese government in their fight against the COVID-19. And when the Nepal started to suffer from the coronavirus infection, and the China immediately came up and then provided support in terms of the medical supplies and the other logistics, and also sharing experiences. There were several webinars organized between two sides to exchange the experiences from China to Nepal. And the China has said, if I understand correctly, a lot of things China has said they are ready to provide any kinds of cooperation to Nepal. That is how that relationship has built on. And the China has capability and willingness to cooperate with the outside world. China has been saying that this is a menace against the humanity. This is a common enemy. We should fight against it together. There is the virus has no race, no ethnicity, no geography. And then we should not politicize it. That is what China is saying. And then we fully honor and recognize that what they've been saying. And the virus has no border. Virus has no race, no ethnicity. And then we should fight against it. It can occur in any other parts in next time. And the near future, in the same and different way. And then we can have the different disasters, different kinds of disasters. We have to fight together. And then we have to work together. We have to show the solidarity, sympathy, compassion to the people's sufferings, rather than that the accusing each others and then creating further problems. And then it will help no one. It will further damage the world economy and the people's confidence. If we fight each other, and then people will lose their confidence. We have a great loss on economy. Even if we fight each other, and then people will suffer further suffer from the economic recession, economic downturn, meltdown. That's why the post-COVID world, the revival demands a greater solidarity among the nation states. And the China is proposing the solidarity and cooperations. And then I think it is in the interest of the countries like Nepal to join hand together with China and the fight together against any human menace, and also the revive the economy. And after the coronavirus is over, the people will lose, a lot of people will lose job. And then there will be a crisis of supply of essentials. And maybe there will be maybe a country like Nepal will have a crisis of having the foreign currencies. And on that situation, we need more support from the countries. And a lot of countries have suffered. Maybe the countries yesterday supported us will not be able to support because of that their own internal problems. In that situation, China is a better position because China has overcome that coronavirus, largely controlled the coronavirus with comparatively less damage and the loss of lives compared to the similar population and similar magnitude of the coronavirus pandemic in other countries. That's why China's economy is reviving fast. I saw that for the May 2020 the statistics, China is approaching very near to the previous year's status, and then maybe we are hopeful that China will be able to quickly revive. And then China's revival is equally important for global economic recovery and for the recovery of the countries like Nepal. We need more cooperation in technology. We need more cooperation in financing. We need more cooperation in tourism recovery, recovery of the tourism businesses, and we need more agriculture cooperations to revive our food security, or to maintain our food security, and so and so. And that's why the post-COVID cooperation between China and Nepal would be very important, vitally important, critically important for both the countries. And then the cooperation between all the countries, not only with China. Maybe cooperation with all the friendly countries is essential for Nepal, but China will be more so because the China has capability and willingness to support country like Nepal. And then we can bank on, we can maybe that expect more from China after the pandemic is over, in terms of the investment, in terms of the other technical cooperations and technological support and the livelihood support, or the economic recoveries, and then trade and other kinds of the activities. This is what I think I covered all the issues you have mentioned. Dr. Pramod, if you allow me, please ask that audiences and the other participants on panelists, if they have any questions to me first, because I have to leave earlier, then I may not be able to fully participate during that interactions with Fan Kofing and other colleagues. Please allow me to request you for collecting questions and asking questions if some of the panelists or the other participants have on me, and then I would be very much happy to try to respond as based on my knowledge and capabilities. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. We have got few questions. It is not directly directed to you. You may choose them and answer some of them. I'd also want to request Professor Chang to note down the questions. I'll read 4 or 5 questions, and some of them might be answered by Ambassador Saab, and some might be maybe Professor Chang can take over. First question is like, the Nepalese trade relation with China is heating up. Do you think trade relation will be disturbed, given that there are allegations of China hiding information regarding the COVID? Like, will that affect the trade relation between Nepal and China? Second question is, does Tibet play a crucial role between India-Nepal relations? Does Tibet play a role? Third is like, does China have any view about implementing MCC in Nepal, especially when Nepal is already part of BRI project? So we have received these 3 questions. If you want, you can answer some. Rest of them can be answered by Professor Chang. And
Okay, I would like to talk on 2 issues, that Nepal trade and the Nepal-India relations vis-a-vis Nepal-China relations. Particularly, we don't have any disturbances between trade between China and Nepal, but we have not opened a border fully for the bilateral trade because of the COVID pandemic. And I think after that COVID pandemic, the lockdown is over in Nepal, and then the movement between cross-border movement of goods and services would be continued as usual, and would be smooth as earlier. And the trade through India too, and these days are I heard that piled up in Calcutta port because of the same pandemic problem. I don't think that we have a major issue in trade between 2 sides, although we have a huge trade deficit. I must mention this in this point, that we have a huge trade deficit. We have not been able to cater the need of the Chinese market, and then we also have not been able to sometimes fulfill some technical barriers of the exportation of some food items, or the some items that require to go through the quarantine checks. And then we are working on that. There was a plan to hold a meeting between 2 sides in the month of February, had there not been the COVID-19, between 2 sides meeting to resolve that outstanding issues for the trade. And the second, we have been trying to link up in the production value chain of Chinese manufacturing industries, and then bring in some manufacturing industries in Nepal, so that we can produce the quality goods as per the demand of Chinese market and the global market, to reduce the trade imbalances between two sides. These are the two measures that we have been trying to take up, and then we signed several agreements during that president's visit, Nepal's president China visit and Chinese president Nepal visit, to ease out this, particularly the Nepal's export trade to China. And that's why with that background, and then I'm confident that we'll have a more chance of exporting our trade, our commodities to Chinese market and reduce the trade imbalances. And China's support, understanding is vitally important for us, and then we will receive a full cooperation from Chinese side. I was assured when I was there, the full cooperation from Chinese side. And then on that, that's why with the Chinese support, we've signed those agreements on the quarantine and customs and the related matters, and also the citrus fruit exportation and so many other things that we've signed. Regarding the relationship between China and India and Nepal, and the Nepal and China, definitely the world is interconnected, and then the China and India are the only bordering countries. If we have some trouble with India, definitely it will have an impact on our relationship with the whole other countries. What happens, you see that when China and India has not a good relations, Nepal always suffers. Because of that, both the countries try to see with a suspicion that the legitimate level of contact with each other countries would be taken as a suspicion or doubt, and then we have to always justify our legitimate level of relationship with other neighbors if they are in the very great tension. If they have the good relationship, and then it would be much more easier for us to maintain a good relationship with either countries, of course, and then we have to be on the radar and then not ignored by the big superpowers in the neighbor. But what I think is that in this interconnected world, the impact of one country's relationship with other would have definitely a ripple effects to the other countries as well. That's why we want a very good relationship between all three countries. Relationship between India and China, very good. Relationship between Nepal and India, relationship between Nepal and China, very good. So that, and then we can have the our focus, our resources, our capabilities to focus on building our development capabilities, and the building our nations on the based on our potentialities and capabilities, fully exploring and exploiting our treasures and potentials, hidden potentials, natural or the demographic advantages that we have. Under that potentialities, the only we need to have a better understanding among us, and the cooperations and collaborations benefit all, and the conflicts or the maybe confrontations would have the loss game for all three. That is what I understand on the relationship between India and Nepal, and India and China, and vis-a-vis Nepal, India and China.
Okay, thank you, sir. You may leave if you have to go somewhere. We'll continue the discussion.
Okay,
yes,
okay. I will stay 5 more minutes, and then
okay.
I will leave.
Before I open the floor, maybe I want to make a few remarks. Like, yes, China and Nepal enjoy excellent relations. There are no questions on that. We have excellent relations in historical times. Chinese aid fare much better compared to other countries. Actually, if you look at the aid graph, Japan, China, and India are the ones who have made major contribution when it comes to infrastructure projects, which is the backbone of Nepal's development. What is very interesting is that China initially proposed Pattaya Bildens Road, and later India constructed it. China also got the bid. Actually, Nepal was paying for that, but Chinese got that tender where it was constructing Kohalpur and Banwasa Road. Finally, India made it for free. So I think like maybe China should propose more, so that maybe Indian can come with more constructive project on time, work at faster rates, because that is how the two neighbors are competing in our country, and Nepal being at that geopolitical position should benefit it. So I think China can be one of the factors where it can bring competition not only between India and China, but even other partners, other developing partners like Japan and America. Like MCC was not there 5 or 10 years ago. When China came, then there is interest of many players, regional or you can say global players. So I think Nepal should bring China and other factors that can bring, healthy competition in the country that can uplift Nepal's economic development. Other is that, like, it's China who first proposed railway, and then India came with 6-point connectivity railway project. Again, when China retaliated about that railway project, Modi announced railway from Kathmandu to Raksol. So what happens, that is what I think is required here in Nepal, that there should be competition. People say that, oh, it's a geopolitically, Nepal has been a recipient and instability there. I think if we are able to play well, we can bring all our partners together in this competition, which is good for Nepal's economy. Other is that Nepal will benefit from BRI. I fully support BRI. I have been watching it since long, and I think it is in Nepal's interest. Nepal can benefit immensely. Why Nepal will benefit immensely is that first, India itself is economically integrated with Chinese economy. Like, they have been developing themselves. They have got huge investment from China. Economically, they are highly integrated in one sense. Like, they have excellent economic relations. So why should Nepal do not do that? In fact, there are more forums where China and India sit together, like SCO, BRICS, bigger forums are there where they sit together and they have that kind of engagement. So Nepal, which enjoy very good relations, I think should go for that. When I come to BRI, why BRI is very important for Nepal? I think Nepal needs connectivity. Nepal lacks connectivity because Nepal is not only landlocked, it's physically, economically locked. We are not connected with two fastest growing economy of the world, China and India, because there are insulators. There are insulators on both sides. Insulator is a plastic that is around the wire, which do not allow electricity to flow. So it's like we have the poor state of India, like West Bengal, or you can say Uttar Pradesh or Bihar, which borders Nepal, and we do not get the economic benefits that Central India or you can say Southern India is getting. Now gradually the two countries are trying to remove that. Similarly, on the northern side there is Tibet and the big Himalayas, which lacks connectivity. So due to lack of connectivity, we are not able to integrate with two of the biggest market of not only Asia but world, and Nepal is being deprived of that. That's why we need connectivity to break that. Now, if we are able to break that connectivity, I think the two major sectors, which is tourism and hydropower, will be benefited. Tourism, obviously, with connectivity, there will be more tourists coming from India and China. Both Indians and Chinese are getting richer day by day, and they have huge population, and they are our next door neighbors. Obviously, they will come as tourists to Nepal, which is one of the most beautiful countries in the world. Similarly, hydropower, we have huge potential. So, and both India and China have huge capital, they have resources, they even have markets. So I think if you're able to, we can benefit from that. Apart from when you talk about hydropower, we also talk about transmission lines, that is hydro connectivity. The transmission line is also connectivity of flow of hydropower. So it's not only road connectivity, air connectivity, but also connectivity of transmission lines, like a flow of what you call power is important. Now, what will be the situation if we are able to do that? Let me share you one map of Nepal here. Let me share you the screen. Once we are able to, can you see this map? Can you see the map?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So once we are connected with China through proper connectivity, what will happen? You might be aware that BCIM, like connecting Kunming, Mandalay, Dhaka and Calcutta, was a very important initiative at one point in time. Now it's not very hyped and things are not going like in the past. But if that particular corridor grows, what will happen? Nepal will be connected. I think Nepal should be part of BCIM connectivity, because if you are part of BCIM, Nepal will be able to complete this full circle through Kunming, Lhasa and Kathmandu. The upper circle will be completed. The lower circle is still confusion. There are lots of concerns because this passes through the most sensitive part of the region. India's sensitive region and other countries' sensitive region are there. And there are 4 countries involved, like India, Bangladesh, Myanmar, and China. So there are chances that this project will be delayed. But if Nepal is a part of BCIM, then the upper circle can be easily connected. And we all know that Kathmandu is connected with Calcutta. So this Kunming, Kathmandu, Calcutta, 3K, KKK connectivity is very important for Nepal's development, and that is necessary. Now, what will happen if you're part of this BCIM? Maybe the lower circle will not complete. Then maybe the Chinese trade will flow to India from Nepal, or the other, rather than using the lower curve. Now, if that completes, if we are able to do that, then what would the situation of Nepal market? I think we'll be able to connect ourselves globally, because we all know that India has better connectivity at the moment. The 4 major cities which are economic power of India, New Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, and Calcutta, are connected with fast track railways, not like that of China, but at least the fast railway that India has. They have excellent roads connectivity, so they have proper connectivity within India. And we all know that India is a big South Asia market. Again, India is trying to connect with Southeast Asia through BIMSTEC, and they are also developing Mekong India Economic Corridor. So through this triangular, India, the South Asian economy, and Southeast Asian economy will be connected through this connectivity. So if we are part of this BCIM, what will happen is that we'll be able to connect. Nepal will have excellent connectivity with South Asia, the biggest market, Southeast Asia, another big market, and China, the biggest market. Again, through China, the world is connected. So I think Nepal should go for this kind of BRI connectivity project. That is what Nepal should focus, rather than having noodles company or maybe some small investment. I think Nepal should ask for bigger investments, and that too related to connectivity, where railway is very, very important. And I think we should push for that, rather than looking at small gains that we can have with bigger Chinese neighbor. Now, the question is that, is it easy? Is it possible? Is it easy? Yes. No, so it's not easy. It's not very easy to have that connectivity. But the question is it possible? Yes, it is possible. But why it is not so easy? The question is that because of security concern and trust deficit of India and China, because of their not very good relations, it's difficult. It's not so easy, but it is possible. How can we resolve it? I think we need a separate seminar for that in order to discuss how we can resolve this trust deficit and all those, and we can do it in coming days in new seminars. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to open the floor here. If you have any questions, please come forward.
Just Dr. Pramod, just I would like to add on 1 or 2 points, and then I will leave. Okay, based on your just summarization of the today's program. No? Can I?
Yes, sir. Please.
Okay. Thank you very much. You have shown the figure and then the map, and then last you summarize that railway connectivity is important. Whatever you have shown that infrastructure projects across the region, the railway connectivity is the most. That's why it is not a question that whether how much it pays or not, how much it is, how much money it gives, how much money we have to invest. It is the integral part of the overall connectivity, and then we have to jointly fund. And the talking about the debt trap, it is the Western narratives, not our narratives. And we cannot expect that we fund all infrastructure projects by our own grant and our own revenue and grant alone. And in this fighting against COVID also, we have been taking loan. The fighting COVID, taking loan is not a good thing, but we have been taking loan from World Bank very recently, last week. That's why the loan is integral part of our development activities, and we cannot avoid loan if we want to develop. But loan should not be taken for consumption, like that COVID-19, fighting COVID-19. Loan must be taken for the creating some economic goods, economic activities, like railways, like roads, highways, like dams, and like the big agriculture projects. And we can take a loan on such projects which can produce the return, and then we can pay the loan. And then we also should be careful on terms and conditions of the loan. But taking loan is not a bad thing, and then we cannot develop our economy without taking loan. If we negotiate with China about taking loan and developing projects, the Western countries try to create a narratives that debt trap. It is false. Our total loan is more than 90% loan, present day loan the portfolio is from ADB, World Bank, IMF, and Japan, more than 90%. China's share on loan is less than 4%. That's why taking loan is not a problem, even with China. And then we can make a project by taking loan from China. It's not, if we can take a loan from World Bank, from ADB, from Japan, from United States, from Kuwaiti funds, from Saudi fund, from EU's countries, and then why cannot we? From India, why cannot take a loan from China? But the terms and conditions we must negotiate, and then we must be careful about the purpose of loan, and then we should not use that loan for consumption by taking loan from any countries, any organizations. That must be used for the economic purpose, getting return, that is on loan. And I don't want to compare with the development projects and then competition between two countries. That is your perspectives. But what I can say that taking any foreign assistance, we need a lot of cooperation, as I said, from all over the world, from all the friendly countries, without compromising on sovereign independence and our non-aligned foreign policy. These are the two basic premises for taking any foreign grants or any foreign loans, either from China or from any friendly country. This should be the very basic premises or preconditions for taking loan. We are a grant that without compromising our sovereign independence and also our non-aligned foreign policy. That is what I would like to submit with this. And then you said that for developing all these other things need a lot of fund, lot of long-term commitment, and the willpower of the leaderships. And for that we need to build up a trust. For building trust, there is only way to dialogue. There is no any other means. That's why the platforms created like this, through dialogue, we can iron out differences, and then we can resolve our differences. We can build up trust, and then by building trust, we can develop our economies and improve the living conditions of our people by developing all sort of the potentials. I fully exploiting the potentials that we have. With this, once again, thank you, Dr. Pramod, and thank you all the audiences and participants and panelists. Thank you, Mr. Chang and Mr. Fan, for joining this seminar. And then wish you all the best. We'll see you again in future in different platforms. Okay, thank you. Goodbye.
You, thank you very much. We'll continue with the question because Mr. Fang, we have lost connections again. The first question is from Mr. Chang. There are a few questions. If you want to skip, you can do that. We'll try to answer together. First is that China signed with India an agreement for trade through a route well within the territory of Nepal. Didn't China feel it necessary to consult Nepal before negotiating this with the third country? China was well briefed about transaction issue in early 1980s. This is a question from our audience that maybe China should have asked before signing a deal with India only today. Second question is the Nepalese, which has been answered by Ambassador Sir. We'll skip that, like how it will impact the trade, how COVID will impact the trade. We'll skip that. Again, like the role of Tibet in Nepal-India relation, we'll skip that. Another is that, do you think China has supported sufficiently in comparison to its economy is rising? I mean, since Chinese economy is increasing at a very high speed, do you think it has supported Nepal enough? That is the question. Another is does China have any view on implementing MCC in Nepal, especially when Nepal is already part of the BRI project, which Ambassador Sir skipped it. So do you think, what is your take on it, Mr. Chang? We have other questions as well. We'll come to that when you are done with these questions, or shall I read more questions? You want to take other questions first? We have some more questions.
Let me answer the first question, that is about the China-India agreement about the trade through LIPLAC, right? Yes or no? Yeah?
Yes.
Is that question?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. You know, before 1962 China-India border war. China and India already traded through the Lip Lake. In China, we say it is Qiangla Pass. Okay, Qiangla Pass. After 1962, the India side closed the Lip Lake Pass for the bilateral trade. In the year 1991, maybe 91, 92, I can't remember exactly, okay, when Premier Li Peng visited India, China and Nepal agreed to reopen the Lip Lake Pass for trade. And in the year 1992, the trade between India and China through Lip Lake officially launched. So at that time, no voice against the China-India agreement from Nepal. So, you know, when the Lip Lake problem arose last year, I read a lot of the, you know, the literature, the books and other articles. Some of the Nepali writers think that it is only after the Maoist PLA war, okay, and after the, you know, in the year 19, which year? 1996 or something like that, when the Prime Minister G.P. Koilala, right? G.P. Koilala visited India to sign the agreement about the Kanali River. There was Tanakapur barrage, right? Okay.
Yes.
Only after that, the Lip Lake, the Kanali, and the Limpia Luda, yeah, okay, the Limpia Dula questions arose. So I think when Prime Minister Modi visited China in the year 2015, China and India signed the agreement to enforce, to broaden the China-India trade through the Lip Lake Pass. This is logical for China. But China doesn't know, they didn't know the problem, because even in the Nepal's political map before the new one, okay, that part is also described as maybe between China, India, and Nepal tri-joint, right? So I think it is not appropriate to criticize or to blame China on the agreement when China signed it without asking for Nepal's commitment. So that is my understanding about the problem. This is not because of China agree with India to encroach Nepal's territory, because from Nepali side, the past so many years, you did not say anything about that. Who knows? If there is not such a very loud noise about the Lip Lake Kanali and the Limpia Dula problem, I don't know what's wrong with that. That is that question. Another one is the MCC, right? MCC. Yeah. You know, China, when China helps Nepal, China never put anything political on the aids. So we just help, we just supply it. you know, provide the. There's some question for me. Okay. I think China is really, wholeheartedly to help Nepal within its capacity. Even when China was very poor in the year 1950s and 60s, I read a lot about the historical books and articles. China built the Anico Highway, the Prithvi Highway, and other, factories, and the trolley bus from Kathmandu to Bhaktapur, and the sugar mill, the textile mill, and so on. Okay, last year when I was, in Heitauda, the Nepali friend told me, oh, that was the Chinese aid textile factory. But the factory now is being sold to the Indians, something. So they told me maybe. So that is a big problem. And BRI, Belt and Road Initiative, many Nepali friends told me they think BRI is only Chinese government's problem. It is donation. Now you want BRI, we don't need it. So that is a very wrong conception about BRI. BRI is no donation. It is mutual benefit cooperation between China and the countries along the Silk Road and the Maritime Silk Road. That is cooperation. That is to say, when some Nepali friends asked me, now why China cannot build the China-Nepal Railway by yourself? We don't want to, to borrow money, to have any loan. Just now, Ambassador Lila Manibaldeo told, loan is a must for any country to develop if you do not have enough money. Nobody owes you anything. Why? When I was teaching in Kathmandu University Confucius Institute, there was a text saying that in Beijing, there are 5 ring roads. One of my students asked me, oh, sir, it is unfair for Nepal. In Nepal, there's only 1 ring road, but Beijing, there are 5 ring roads. I asked that guy, when Beijing built the 5 ring roads, we built by ourselves. But the Nepal Kathmandu's ring road was built by the Chinese government and the Chinese people as a gift to Nepal people, right? Okay. Now, how can you yourself buy your own buildings, 1 story, 2 stories or 3 stories buildings? You have enjoyed so many things by yourself, but you do not, dispatch money to build your own ring roads. Okay, that is the misunderstanding about the BRI. So, if China helps you within its capacity, China has never put anything political on the aid. But let's talk about the MCC. I think if MCC is only economic, it will be no problem for Nepal to pass the MCC agreement in the House of the Representatives, maybe tomorrow or in the near future, right? Okay. But if it is used as a part of Indo-Pacific strategy against China, just as the visiting American diplomat in Kathmandu declares, so China will surely oppose it, right? What's more, if MCC makes Nepal, a competing ground how can Nepal afford the suffering resulting from the competition among China, US, and India? Otherwise, I would like Nepal can be a platform for cooperation among all countries in the world. You know, not only China and India are helping Nepal, but also USA, the European countries, and Japan and Korea. So many countries are helping Nepal. But I think the Nepal government can coordinate all these cooperations to benefit Nepal, to make them in the direction to help Nepal only on economic, not economy, not politically, not military. Okay, so that is my understanding about MCC. If the MCC is really good for Nepal, as the Americans claim, why not make some changes to make sure the Nepali people who are against MCC to feel convinced, oh, it is like China's aid to Nepal without any political preconditions, right? Okay. Now, otherwise, if you force to pass the MCC agreement in the parliament, it will bring a lot of suffering in the long run for the Nepal, the whole country, the whole nation. So that is my understanding about the MCC problem. I think if it is really good for you, accept it. If it's not good for you, okay, reject it. Now, to decide everything according to Nepal's own interests, right? When I was giving lectures to the Nepali friends in seminars and workshops, I told the Nepali friends, I wouldn't like our Nepali friends to be pro-Chinese or pro-Indians. You should be pro-Nepals, to love your own country, to decide which is good for you, which is bad for you, to accept all those are good for you, to reject all those that are bad for you. If something is good for you for the time being, for a very, very short while, okay, and will bring more suffering in the longer future, how can I afford that? That is my answer to these questions. Anything else?
Yes, we have two more short questions. Can you please elaborate new era of relationship? Though you are an academician, do you think the Chinese investment projects in Nepal are in same speed of implementation back in China? If not, what side do you think the problem is, with Nepalese side or Chinese side or diplomatic dealing? I mean, why Chinese projects are faster in China and delayed in Nepal? Do you think it's Nepalese? Who is to blame, Nepalese or Chinese or both sides, or what is the problem? Why Nepalese? That is first. Second is,
again, what is your problem, Raghavan, please?
the question is that, like, why the development projects by China in Nepal
What do you mean by?
Like, for example, like when Chinese make a ring road expansion in Nepal, it takes longer time.
Ring road, huh?
Yes, but in China they can complete that project within short time, like maybe 6 months, 1 year. So development projects in China is faster compared to the development project by Chinese in Nepal. So where is the problem? Problem is with Nepalese side or Chinese side or diplomatic dealing? What is the problem?
Oh, you mentioned the delay of the projects of China aid, right? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So, in my opinion,
okay,
all of the Chinese companies who are doing the projects in Nepal, what they really want is to complete that project as soon as possible, right? Nobody would like to delay, right? Yeah. But as far as we know, as I know, even if the upgradation of the ring roads project in Kathmandu. This is the Chinese government's aid, not loan, right? The Chinese grant, right? But when I was working there, the road had already begun. Until last year, it was finished. So many years passed. I do not know the exact reason, but I think maybe it is because of the Nepali side's problem. And again, there's a Chinese hydropower company, Gezhouba, you know Gezhouba, the Budi Gandagi hydropower station. The contract was cancelled by Nepal government, led by Daupa, right? Yeah, they canceled that unilaterally, not bilaterally. So I asked the chief representative of Gezhouba last year when I was in Kathmandu. Now, it was reported that when they were building another hydropower station in Nepal, the government of Nepal owed them more than 100 million Chinese yuan for completing that. I cannot remember the exact name of the hydropower station. Okay. I asked them, have they returned, paid you that money? He told me no. And I also asked him, now when you signed the agreement with the Nepali government to build the Budi Gandagi hydropower station, is there any articles, any regulation about if each side violates the agreement, are there any punishments? He told me no, because there was no punishment if one of the two sides violates the agreement. So that is why the Chinese companies suffered lots. Also, the Malanchi drinking water project, the Chinese company suffered. They told me more than 400 million renminbi yuan. I also talked about that problem in Nepal embassy in China, in Beijing. Okay. Now, if the Chinese company suffered so much money by building your projects in Nepal, how can you attract more companies to invest in China, in Nepal? I also shared a story about the American company in China in late 1970s, at the beginning of the opening up policy. Okay, the Jeep, Jeep, JEP, the Jeep car company, they set up a factory in Beijing. But just now I mentioned that today Nepal is almost China in the year 1970s. Okay, very backward. Everything is very slow, or very slow. So that company suffered a great loss in the first year, and they intended to withdraw from China. Then, when the Chinese premier got the news, he wrote a letter to the mayor of Beijing city. You should at least guarantee the American company can never suffer loss in the following year. If they can make some money, it's better. At least they will not lose money, right? Yeah. After the government made a lot of efforts, the company stayed there and developed, and now it is very good condition. So if Nepal really want to develop its own economy, Now, there should be a special panel or special group to provide all the service to the specific projects by the foreign investment. You know, as a foreigner, they don't know anything about the local laws, local regulations. So only the natives, they know everything. They should provide all the service to the foreign, not only Chinese, but also all the foreign investors who would like to go to invest in Nepal. Only in this way can a country be developed into a prosperity future. And if you only depend on the grant, you know, the capital, the character, the nature of the capital is striving for profits. If no profits can be made, nobody will come to, except the Chinese state-owned companies, because it is, if it loses the person who is in charge, they don't need to pay. The government is paying. So that is why the state-owned companies cannot earn a lot of money. Only as far as I know, they say in Nepal, more than 90% Chinese investors can never make money. They just lose money. So when some friends asked me to introduce them to go to invest in Nepal, I told them, I cannot guarantee you can make money. I just can introduce you to be there to do something. But if you agree, you can have a try to take the risk to be suffering a lot of loss there. And also I talked with the chief ministers last summer. Now, if you really would like me to introduce you a businessman, a company to invest in your province, okay, that is my suggestion. At least you should guarantee they won't lose money. Better, they can make some money. You know the Hongshi Shiver cement factory. I also visited that factory last year. That factory now is in good situation. They can make some money. You know, even the Hongshi cement factory, they suffer a lot. The manager told me the Nepali government promised them when they started to invest in Nepal, the government will build the road from Mahandala Highway to the factory, and from the factory to the mine, to the limestone mine. Okay, these two roads are promised being built by the Nepali government, and also there should also be a power station being built by the government of Nepal. But unfortunately, the government of Nepal haven't done anything about the two roads and the one power station. And they cannot wait for the government of Nepal to build the roads. They build the road themselves. And they told me they have spent more than nearly 100 million Chinese yuan to build the road from Mahandala Highway to the factory. So when I was talking about the chief ministers in Province 3 and Province 5, because that factory is located in Bagmati province and Gandaki province, right? I told them that if the government promised to build a road, and also I'm told that the government has already given them some money to build a road. Why haven't you built a road? You make the Chinese company suffer a lot. That is the general situation. That is my opinion about the practical cooperation from the Chinese experience. And also, I hope that MCC and BRI should be used as platforms for cooperation rather than competition.
Okay, thank you, Professor Tang. We'll end it here. We had an excellent deliberation. I think every one of us enjoyed a lot, learned a lot. We still have few questions.